Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Utopia News Warcast for Year 3. This is your host, Wind. Today's date is June 9th, Year 3. Thank you for everyone who's joining this Warcast live. We've got lots of information to go over tonight, lots of victories as well to review, some interesting wars, some things to rehash from the previous podcast as well. I am quite inundated with the amount of data and intel that I've been receiving recently. It's actually becoming very hard to get it all into one episode or just to cover it all in general without going over a 1 hour mark. So without further ado, let's jump in and just get into this right away because, as I said, there's quite a bit to cover today. All right, so looking at what's going on here, we got some wars that were completed since our last Warcast. I've got our little chat window open here from YouTube so we can kind of keep an eye on anyone that's talking or chatting live from time to time. I'll try to remember to look at that. But we got the Why Did Tom Quit Kingdom? I've got some intel on that. They were defeated by Drunken Party, despite looking like they had a strong performance. Strong war, possibly in their favor even. Again, another surprise there. War Agreed defeats WARHorses. Um, this is our highlight war tonight that we're looking at, part of the big reveal. 4-5 defeats 7-12. Unnamed Kingdom 1-7 defeats the other Unnamed Kingdom 1-11. TWP 3-8 defeats Get a Job 3-9. Some of these kingdoms have really close wars, and there was a couple that I wanted to look at in more detail. So without further ado, let's jump into what's currently going on in the world. We'll remove our wars there, and our little thingy's getting in the way here, so I'm just going to move that over there. We know what age it is. All right, so looking at the chart here, I mean, wow, it looks like 8-2 is taking a big dip here. Um, Barco Loco back in the lead of the biggest kingdom in the world again. Um, so welcome back to the top, guys. Reborn of Noah, sorry, steadily climbing. That's another thing we're going to be rehashing is the 7-5 and 7-4 war with Noah and the other kingdom that they were facing. Good job to everyone who's made it onto the charts. Pillow Talk doing nicely there. Let's see, Fluid again. Congratulations on your newborn. um, Mickey going for a holiday for a week, and there's our Star Kingdom there that we're going to be talking about tonight. So let's jump in quickly and see what is going on here with the victory pool. Um, Here we are. So it looks like the first war here we have here. Why did Tom quit? Um, pretty looked land-wise. I mean, Tom was in a pretty big position, possibly even land fat. He's pretty much seemed like he was in control of the entire war right up until the end there. So definitely choked or something. I'm not sure exactly what happened there. Um, let's just look at the notes quickly. I don't want to spend too much time looking at these ones. But first, just a message to everyone currently watching the Warcast. Attention to all kingdoms. Please be aware with the Sage's intel issues. Currently, SOTs are not parsing correctly with older SOMs outside of the same tick. As far as I know, due to this, you may cause or see some extra bounces this age. Be sure to SOT-SOM every tick before attack. As long as it's within the same tick, you should be good. But as long as, the last SOM was done within that tick, you should be okay. Uh, I wanted to take a quick minute to rehash this war as well, as I said, and got some other notes here. But quickly, we want to just scroll down here to the Tom Kingdom War. I believe I had it saved here. Where are you, Tom? Look at all these people named Tom. All right, Tom Kingdom. So here we are, one of my nice friends offering to give us some stats. So here's the stats, including the opening wave, um, total of attacks. Now this is from the Tom Kingdom side. I mean, as you can see, they're definitely in control, taking the acres. Got some ambushes, a good amount of massacres there. None at all on the enemy side. So definitely the Tom Kingdom was doing some TM control there, but that possibly lost them some of their attackers because of that focus. But still, pretty strong numbers here. 20-0, 27-0. Some of these guys not even touched at all. 24-0. But then, at the bottom here, you know, 94, 15 to 94. This guy really got reamed. 46 to 69, giggity. Hard-headed, 48 to 90. These are some big numbers. I mean, these guys just got wrecked. But I mean, if you look at the acres that they actually lost overall at the end of the day, they did a pretty good job keeping themselves afloat. The other side, clearly, they have some strong provinces at the top here. I mean, look at the number of hits they sustained, and still they're positive acres. So, amazing job, amazing performance by everyone in the top here, and even those, that are still around, the mid bracket here. Again, look at the number of attacks, two attacks that they've made. It's pretty intense. And here again, here's the bottom guy again, 46 and 95. I mean, that's not too much different, aside from the number of attacks made. Um, and you can see they're kind of in a similar position. Looks like the Tom Kingdom withdrew. You know, I can get more information if I want. This is just my notepad about the war. Again, as I said, I had so much data coming in today. It was hard to format it all, but this is kind of what I get most of the time, and it does take time to get all this stuff. Either way, Tom Kingdom said it was a great opponent. And they don't want to give out all the details, which is totally fine. With regards to mass, they didn't seem to do anything. I guess you were just massing the wrong targets. I'm not sure what else to tell you there. Usually masses are very effective, and for the number of masses and the kills that you got, um, again, you must not have been targeting the correct provinces with those massacres, or maybe you just didn't have enough of them. That's always the case when you think massacres not being used correctly. Um, they sent 3 dragons, we sent 6. We tanked their third ruby. Benediction versus benediction ritual. Uh, I don't know what you guys are thinking with this ritual. You guys are crazy. And again, it's interesting to see, Tom Kingdom clearly had some econ control. They sent 6 dragons to 3 and they still withdrew. Um, now at the end, I think this data was from earlier, but they were trying to contain peasants apparently. So I guess they maybe did have control of that econ earlier on, but then possibly sending all those dragons might have wiped out their military capabilities. So, good job to the other side. You really came back and kicked butt, Drunken Party. So good on you for that. Let's move on to the next war here. War Agreed versus WARHorses Stable Party. Um, you know, great job, Blue Kingdom. You definitely kicked butt. WARHorses, you withdrew at a good point, took away plenty of acres. I mean, you even exceeded the enemy in that regard, and still, you came in the smaller honor province, smaller honor kingdom, and still kicked butt in that war and walked away with a fair chunk of honor. I mean, you know, Blue Kingdom got their honor back and then some, but you definitely didn't make it easier for them. I mean, they could have walked away with more honor than that, especially if you weren't such a hard opponent. It appears there was a lot of good back and forth there. Quick look at the net worth chart. I mean, that's a solid war. I mean, those are some nice lines. War horses just, being the smaller kingdom was never really able to bring them down low enough to dominate on the net worth side. Um, but still, great effort by both sides on that war. Now on to our big reveal here. This is our big reveal kingdom. As I said before, let's just take a quick look at what happened on the land side of things. Um, it looked like it was a pretty even war. However, once the Red Kingdom kind of got on top, they definitely, with the skill that they have, they weren't just soaking up acres that they couldn't hold. They were definitely holding those acres, and that's indicated by the fact that, they're constantly growing wave over wave here, and the Blue Kingdom's not able to take it back. So great job. Um, I think a lot of people could learn something from this war if you did take more intel. Again, strong performance by the Red Kingdom here. It just wasn't enough to make it to their victory there. So I mean, again, a really tough war. Blue Kingdom did extremely well here. I mean, look at Red Kingdom. I mean, they still walk away with more honor than they went into the war with. I mean, that just shows you the level of skill, behind these two kingdoms. Blue Kingdom with a very strong performance here. they weren't able to get to let Red Kingdom take them down. I mean, they came close here. I got lots of intel from this kingdom saying, they didn't think they were going to be able to turn this war, or they shouldn't have been able to turn this war around. They made it seem like, they were almost going to win this one. I mean, they weren't too sure 100% that they were going to win, but there were some inklings there from some of them about, how close this battle actually was. And you can see it here in the net worth. I mean, it really got intense down here. And maybe I believe one of them said, and to my, with my thoughts here, maybe in another 4 or 5 days they could have turned something around. But at the speed that these kingdoms were moving at, and what they were doing here was just crazy. I think another 3 to 5 days in this war, it would this this network graph would look totally different. um, it would be a very interesting war, probably maybe even a different outcome. But this is how it happened in this war. So I don't want to take anything away from the victory. Both sides fought extremely hard. Let's just take a quick look at their kingdom page. I mean, this is a great, I love their banner, actually. Mickey Mouse riding away on a train, going away for vacation. I mean, still very respectable numbers here. Honor rank 6, land rank 11, 42. Um, Wars 1 to 1.85. War score, great kingdom. I mean, you're going to have a good war. If you want a serious war, go for those kingdoms. This kingdom, or this is great. I love this banner. Before, I have actually seen this used many times in the past. I really like that, how they play, like, how they put Mickey into it. And it's a nice little play on words in a sense. It's lights out for Mickey, and he's going on vacation now. Still, as you can see, not too much of a difference between the land rank, honor rank, and net worth rank of the last two kingdoms. Very nice war score, and wars won by 4 or 5 here. It looks like maybe they had one war or possibly two wars that had a little of a lower war win score attached to them. Otherwise, they would have been a little bit closer to the threes at this time with 3 war wins. Um, it's hard to say without looking in the back end to see if they lost any wars, but I don't think this kingdom has lost any wars. Same with our friends here. Now, this is the big reveal that I was talking about. 712 has been communicating with me quite a bit with regards to their wars. They've been very open and vocal about what they've been up to, and what's going on in terms of the intel from both sides. Now, I mean, this shouldn't be too much of a surprise to everyone, but I mean, it's always a surprise or this early in the age, when a big kingdom reveals itself. So just going back to our little thing here, um, essentially, what this is now, this is what everybody's waiting for. 712 is in fact Atlas. Now, if you remember, Atlas was our honor crown winners from age 91, and they've actually, as far as I can tell, they've been undefeated for 5 ages now. And they've really just been kicking butt. I know there's been possibly some things that happened in the past, um, with regards to some big community-wide events that you can all go ahead and look back in the history of the news and the forums for all that information. As I said, we have so much to cover today. And again, if anyone missed it, our kingdom here that we're currently looking at is Atlas. They have no problem mentioning that in the news, because apparently they're going on holiday for a week. So whoever wants to wait for them to leave their ceasefire are more than welcome to challenge them to war. With the 4 or 5 kingdom here, I mean, if to war, you're probably it's definitely exciting wars to be had there. Let's take a look at the message here. Someone saying that the volume is a little bit on the low side. According to my input here, I'm almost in the red zone. I'm not sure what exactly is going on with the input. I mean, I could turn it up possibly a little bit. Let's see if I have that. I know my microphone, um, I constantly have to change it around sometimes for Discord, and it's actually kind of a pain in the butt, to move the volume around on it generally. because I actually have it set up in a few different places. It does seem like it is a little bit low. Maybe that's just the way that I'm talking actually into the microphone. At this time, I'll probably have to go ahead and reconfigure that. Maybe just crank it up to max and force everybody to turn their volume down to a lower level. I mean, that's the only thing I can really think of at this time. Aside from cranking up the volume on my onboard thing. I don't want to do that necessarily though, because it could create some feedback that will sound even worse. But actually, my microphone is at maximum volume, so I'm not sure if there's really anything else I can do at this time besides messing around with other settings and delaying this podcast further. I'm still trying to see if there's anything I can do here. But this is taking a fair bit of time just messing around with this. So we're going to keep that on the side burner and see what I can do about increasing the volume on my microphone. I do have a volume button here, but on my little microphone, or sorry, on my headset controller, but it doesn't seem to actually do anything. So let's go back to the war here. We can close this one. I mean, again, great banners on both sides. I like it when kingdoms have good banner play and good taunts are on either side. It's great to see that. I'm just going to close up these windows here because I had to use my own province um, to actually see those ones, or at least the way I had it set up. So I didn't want to reset them. So moving on from the Syndicate and Mickey War. A great job on both sides. Again, that was the big reveal. One of the kingdoms is in fact Atlas. I said it many times. 712. I'll say it again. And that's that for that war. I mean, Unnamed Kingdom versus Unnamed Kingdom. This is a very confusing war. I mean, Blue Unnamed Kingdom obviously won. You can see that on the land side of things. Total landslide victory here. Good job to Unnamed Kingdom, Unnamed Blue Kingdom. And again, actually, because their name is confusing, I actually have to look at the charts to see, what number they actually are. Blue Kingdom, Unnamed Kingdom is 1-7. So there you have it. 1-7 is the Blue Kingdom, and they were victorious. Good job to everyone in that kingdom. Geez, we got to get through these wars already already completed here. Home Sweet Home versus shout out to WARCAST. Thank you so much, guys. They have been sharing a lot of information as well about this war. Apparently, the leadership is having some difficulties. Maybe not the best team currently working together, as you can see by this landslide here. Home Sweet Home having some real trouble here, staying in control of this war. I mean, it's an even war. 25, full provinces on either side. So, it's really comes down to leadership's ability to win the war. I mean, one kingdom's growing, the other kingdom's just sinking. I think I did have some, information for this war. This was as of May 3rd. I want to share this with everybody, going into the last podcast, but I wasn't actually able to do the podcast yesterday. So we're going to quickly just look at it now. Some quick notes from the enemy here. Now, this is from the perspective of 1-6, actually. So this is from 1-6. So they're 100% in the net worth lead. They're 100% in the lead on the land and net worth, and a lot of that is due to combination of day one deep chaining to two of their attackers plus RLL stuff. Happens to everyone. New province that logged in once and went inactive. They managed to send 3 dragons to R1. I mean, that's pretty substantial there. The 1-6 sent on March 21st. Now, they like to refer to themselves in the third person here. On March 21st, wasn't killed until April 6th. So, that's a pretty decent amount of time. That's a lot of dragon damage. They sent a new ruby for us on April 21st. Our second dragon is still behind as far as a few people are donating, and it is an emerald. Yes, of course, they are very expensive. Day 2, has been interesting in that they're still hitting spinner and white nays for 6 to 10 acres of land. I mean, that's usually a mistake, but it's working against them, and they've gone from 3 provinces to leaving between 1 and 20 behind after their attacks to 6. There's another 3 to 4 that have been between 30 to 40k at home whenever they attack, which is letting spinner and white noise continue hitting back. What they're not doing is deep chaining anyone new. Instead, they're doing broad hits across the kingdom, but everyone they're hitting are TMs. Definitely not the best way to do those types of wars. That being said, on the TM side, we're doing some damage. We've gotten 8 of their provinces, including 2/3 of their big attackers, hovering over 1k provinces. That's excellent work. Benediction is keeping them in the game. Again, this is just ew. Um, don't like that ritual in war. This is a good ritual. Havoc. Yes. Havoc is good. This is the ritual you want to be using, especially if you have lots of powerful TMs. Um, occasionally, we're not seeing too many TM ops. Occasionally, some rides are coming back on them. Constant fireballs, MS, pitfalls, chastity. Well, it seems like they got the full rack up, combined with them stacking all the protection spells. If they can get their arm rolled out, 1/4 is definitely still going strong for now. Quick additional update. Apparently, 1/6 is going to surrender around the 15th. If everyone listens and stops attacking after the 12th. That's pretty funny. So there's some things that led to the downfall, as we had 1 attacker on vacation, 1 inactive, 2 deep chained, and 1 went on active duty and couldn't be as active. Additionally, had a few newer provinces, one of which played the opening login but never came back. We managed to fill a larger inactive with a person. The other thing was that we were able to make up for the lack of attackers. Several of our TMs were sending out. Now, this is important here. Their TMs are attacking. So, they're sending out enough with enough at home to make them more breakable, which gave 1/4 the room to 2 times and 3 times in retaliation. Overall, we did do better than our first war attempt, and a few of us are going to be shifting builds from a full TM to a hybrid or AM, so we're not as reliant on just attackers. That's a very good strategy. The only insight I can offer on that one is that, unless you've got a very skilled player that doesn't mind being everywhere at once, having an acre cap, like let's say anyone that's not above the median, you want to be a pure TM. Anyone below the median or very small, you want to be a hybrid AM. That's all I'm going to say about that. War between 1/4 and 1/6. Monarch of 1/6 says they refuse to surrender. Monarch of 1/6 later offers peace offering to 1/4 during war. The peace offering is later withdrawn. 1/4 is confused with 1/6's objective, so it's decided to start phasing in universities and casting affluent. Um, Good job. Meanwhile, 1/6 is sitting on a ruby dragon and is slowly getting massacred and destroyed. Definitely sad times for 1/6 in this war. I mean, they're having a bad time. Um, some quick notes, going back to our withdrawal kingdom our feature kingdom that I didn't mention yesterday. Here's some data on the 7/12 and 4/5 war. I'm sorry that this is kind of out of order with the way that I normally do things, but I didn't want to let this one go necessarily. As you can see, some very strong numbers here. Look at that, 1 million net worth of combined TPA, WPA, and science to about 800k. Both around the same acres. That is some huge numbers compared to what we've seen before. Definitely 2 very well prepared kingdoms. Um, Mickey's kingdom has a staff on them. This data was slightly older. I think this was actually from, I wanted to cast this in our last podcast before the withdrawal, um, and that was yesterday, so about 24 hours ago. This is the data from 24 hours ago. So this would be May 7th-ish, roughly around there, for that data there. But then, they finally decided that it's time to withdraw. It would take about 7 to 10 days to push them. Would have half the TMs hollowed out and require another 7 days to pump them to properly work. The math just isn't good. If we want to play for a crown, can win 2 wars in a period of time it would take to get the benefit of this win. There you have it right there. I mean, when you look at how much time is in the age, and how long wars take, and again, I specifically said congratulations to everyone on the 7th that has completed their min-time wars. If you can do that, even if you take some losses, you are still going to come out very strong at the end, provided you win those later age wars. You can usually get away with 1 or 2 losses as long as you're not looking to win the war crown. Usually, you can get away with that. This data is from 712 side of things. So as you can see, they were taking more acres. However, they were suffering more attacks. They had a nice numbers here. This was yesterday at 8:33 p.m. I mean, they did extremely well. Very strong numbers. I mean, if you look at the attacks, it's pretty nice. Um, and this is some more information from our April podcast. Just a reminder, they both had onslaughts. Um, you know, it was a very, very tight war. It seemed like they were both doing similar similar things. Very good, very strong kingdoms. Definitely want to see more of them going forward in the future. Some other things I have here I just want to call out before I, go any further. I want to reach out to 4, 3, and 7, 1. If anyone knows who they are, or if you're listening, or if someone can pass a message along to someone in either of these kingdoms, we would love to get some more information about this war. It is only about 24 hours old. We will be reviewing it shortly. Just quickly touching on it, and Saps and Smiles specifically requested as well because they feel like this is a war they can really comment on. So by all means, would love if you guys could reach out and share some information. Um, and we're going to get to this last one here, 7-5 versus 7-4 rehash as soon as we can get past this shout out to Warcast. So again, great work to everyone in the Red Kingdom, and definite shout out. Thank you so much for that, and thank you so much for listening and watching. Um, Congratulations to um, the kingdom, whoever walks away from this one. I mean, looks like Blue Kingdom's kind of just tying you up right now, but Blue Kingdom. Ceasefire is good. Ceasefire is a good thing. That's all I'm going to say. All right, let's move on to the next war here. That was really out of order, actually, because normally I'm not even supposed to cover wars um, that aren't finished yet. Um, but for some reason, I went into talking about that one. Actually, you know what? That's because I think we did. Oh no, this is the last war. um, I just had so many notes for that 1-4 versus 1-6 war, and it did look so one-sided that I wanted to look at it because, that is a war that should be over now. Sorry, guys, but that's just the way it is. It's TWP versus Get a Job. Great job to TWP. I mean, they showed dominance and control the entire war, and they took that victory. As you can see here, it was really not much of a close match after min time. TWP just pulled away and was just the stronger kingdom at the end of the day. As you can see here, they were pretty close in honor when they came in, but definitely walked away with a ton of honor, propelling them, closer to the top 10, as it were. So great job to everyone in this kingdom. It looks like, even though they were short one, they actually had a province currently in protection still. Whether he restarted at the end, it's possible, but with that many acres, I don't think so. It looks like he came in probably in the war with only, that many days passing. I just don't see him growing 100 acres. It's just not possible, especially for a brand new province in protection. I mean, maybe that would be putting all their resources into it. I guess it's possible that this could be um, a restart after ceasefire because I guess, you could potentially explore with your starting resources to 500 acres by this point, I would think. So quite possibly just a reset there. If that's the case, they did win one player up, however, so that explains why they were able to control the honor a little bit easier. Needless to say, good job to TWP. Get a job. Um, Best of luck on the next one. Quick look at my amazing 1-1 province here, 27 million gold coins and nothing to do with them. 161, sorry, percent. Let's see how much science books I have. Awesome. Oh, what should I do with them? Let's just close my eyes and just press a random button here. Oh, what a surprise. Let's see what that turns into. 171 building efficiency. I mean, that's pretty sweet. I'm dwarf, so I get some nice bonus, but that extra 30% is pretty awesome. Not like I can really do anything with it anyway. So let's move on to some more wars in progress. This is our chart here. Awesome. Winx Club War Agreed 5-9 versus War Agreed 4-1. Let's take a look at what's going on in this war. Um, nice tight war here. Blue Kingdom, the bigger kingdom. Red doing a nice job controlling the acres, and looks like they're able to hold them as well. Interesting. Nice, nice. Gradual increase on the Red Kingdom leading up into this war. Looks like they were almost the exact same size when they went into this war. So Red, again, grows to meet them. Must have been extremely well prepared. They did some extremely nice chaining here, but Red did take a solid hit here. I mean, whatever happened here, there was some serious firepower coming from Blue Kingdom on this one. However, they seem to level off, and then Blue Kingdom doesn't really seem to be able to achieve anything near convergence until um, almost 2 or 3 waves later. Right now, it looks like there's an even bigger gap when Red Kingdom does their waves, and although Blue Kingdom was holding them down a little bit, it looks like, Winx Club was pulling back, but, their last wave looks like it's probably ended now, and they weren't even able to, well, it kind of looks like they're just barely touching the outside of the lines. Definitely a close war, but definitely looks like Red Kingdom's in control, and that remains to be the case. There are 2 provinces short on the Blue Kingdom as well. So definitely a tough war for Blue Kingdom to fight back out of. This is definitely an uphill battle for them. It's great to show off your skill and everything when you're facing kingdoms with more provinces, but you're really putting a lot of pressure on your kingdom and really making it hard to retain or gain a lot of honor from any war. Just some things to keep in mind when you do war provinces down. Let's move on to the next one. We have a random theme versus pirates. Here we are, random theme, pirates. Look at the land. I mean, it's a pretty tight back and forth. Pirates has been winning a lot of their wars recently, so good job to them. Looks like they were in control of this war all the way up until the last wave there. They definitely got a nice beating here. Whether Blue Kingdom can maintain their present course will dictate whether or not they can win this war. However, based on the near convergence and the nearing convergence of these waves going into the honor, and now the convergence it looks like on the next wave. Blue is going to continue this upward trend here. Looks like there's some data saved, but that's kind of the trend that they're on right now for blue on the green line there. And I'm just going to draw a conversing line. As you can see, if we kind of look for the center points of this data, with using a little bit of the max, you can see it's a pretty even decline to their incline in terms of honor. But you can see where this war is going. I mean, they've already kind of crossed the middle line here. Blue Kingdom is moving into the Red Kingdom's territory, which had been their territory for like this entire period right here. And as you can see, the game's kind of switching to the Red Kingdom switching to the Blue Kingdom on that, whereas the Red Kingdom has had pretty good control of their honor leading up into this. And I feel like sometimes there's some weird things going on, and I just need to double check. So perfect. Before we go any further, I just want to rehash this war with 7-5 and 7-4. There was some funny looking things about it. Definitely not a common looking war. I got tons and tons of in-game mail from 7-5 with regards to this war. And they were not necessarily pleased with some of the things that I said during the podcast. However, you know, this was in no way a fake war. I just want to let everybody know. And I'm going to be working with 7.5 to try and get some, how much information I can actually release with regards to what they've sent me in game to my 1-1 account. Again, it's a very hard fought war. Definitely not, an easy war to win. Um, you know, Reborn of Noah clearly seemingly the favorite of mine, especially going into the wars, going into the past podcasts. But, as I said, it was a very tough war. And, as I said, Red Kingdom has reached out to me to talk a little bit about the victory. I mentioned probably in the last podcast, how does the bigger kingdom lose? Well, I read those messages pretty closely from the monarch and one of the other individuals from 7.5, and they made some very convincing points about exactly how that went down, and totally reasonable and understandable. I mean, um, let's just say Reborn of Noah, although the Amazing Kingdom fought extremely good war, possibly what was their downfall and why we couldn't figure this out so easily was because of the way they treated their first few rounds of attacks and the way that they did that. There was a lot of learns involved at the beginning, from what I'm told, and they are a great kingdom. So we're going to be looking at this war a little bit closer. I'm going to be doing a written article again, depending on how much information 7.5 is going to allow me to display, but there is a significant amount there. Basically, the entire war's worth of information there. So if anyone is interested, you can reach out to me for more information about that. But I will figure out how I'm going to put this all into an article. Currently, it's like 3 or 4 pages of non-space text. So it is a lot of data. Again, it's like the entire war data. So thank you to 7.5 for sharing that with us. Again, a great war. Unfortunately, due to the nature of how they entered the war and the sizes of the kingdoms and provinces involved, it makes it very hard to track this war on the war planner, or sorry, on the target finder here. However, what I would say is that, these lines, despite, being so much different, if we were to shift them up a little bit, that is to move the red line up and the blue line down a tiny bit so that they achieve convergence. It might actually give us a better idea of what happened in this war, because the way I analyze the charts is based on kingdoms being very similar or having similar aspects. So when kingdoms and war strategies differ greatly or have very different approaches to war, especially hostile, it gets hard to interpret the charts in the traditional ways. And because so few people actually war in those different ways, it makes it really tough to figure out exactly what's going on. Either way, congratulations to 7.5 for winning that war. They did extremely well. They're in a great position now. Reborn of Noah, again, very strong kingdom. They had some really good wars under their belts as well. Definitely a well fought, well earned victory by 7.5. Again, how did they beat the bigger kingdom? You know what I mean? Like, normally, typically in a traditional setup, the bigger kingdom is walking away with the victory, but not in this case because, they realized they couldn't achieve that victory. And so that's how 7.5 ended up taking it, because when you look at the numbers at the end of the day, who has what, who has, this and that, for all we know, those 2,000-acre provinces would have been, might have been sitting on 0 peasants or 50 peasants, and they just had absolutely no econ, no way of attacking. I mean, they were also so big that they could kind of probably, just do weird things like just paradise if they wanted um, to get away. I mean, even if they had the mana or runes to do that, but I'm not seeing any fairies except for Maple Willow really at the top there. So I don't really see, that really being an issue. But again, great job to 7.5, and keep an eye out in the forums for that article, which will be posted to the Utopia News website as well. I'm really behind on a lot of the stuff, and I'm really behind on the website as well. Unfortunately, I'm not exactly where I wanted to be with that. I want to have more information, more articles posted by now. I do have the Age 91 Emirati story coming out as well. It was brought to me a little bit later than the rest, so it's taking a little bit longer to get out. So good job to everyone in this war that's already passed. congratulations. And again, everyone keep an eye out for the article in the forums, which should shed some insight into the war. Again, it's going to take a lot of time to sift through the data that I have and, axe out what I'm not supposed to show. So thank you again to the Monarch and the other individuals sharing data with me with regards to the war and giving me the entire summary and breakdown. Definitely going to bring that up um, in the forum so that everyone can see it as best I can. Looking at the Pirates war again that we were looking at before we just kind of took a sidestep there, looking at the other war. This doesn't look like this is anywhere near over. Both sides have a good shot at winning, so stay strong, both sides. You definitely got at least another day or two of war left in you, so best of luck. Let's take a quick look at the next war. Hostile, please stay out versus I was fired because looks like, interesting land performance here. No one's clearly, just walking away with it. Looking at the net worth side of things, I was fired because it appears to be in a very strong position. One province down on the Red Kingdom, so definitely not working for them right now because Blue Kingdom is clearly a very strong kingdom in terms of net worth. They're doing a lot of damage. On our side of things, it looks like they aren't quite able to achieve honor conversions, although it is a pretty big gap, but they are still, making their way in the right direction. I mean, this is kind of where they are, and if we look at our friends here, sorry, this thing doesn't like it when I move too fast. Versus our other kingdom here, they're in a similar pattern right now. I mean, these distances here are fairly equal. Even on their most recent wave here. They are getting closer though. I mean, there is the opportunity here to see some serious things going down in the next 24 hours. I think the next few waves are going to change the honor graph a little bit here. Definitely going to see some closer action. This definitely looks like a war. I mean, Blue Kingdom, this should be in a position to win. Looking at their bottom province though, definitely not in good shape. Although doesn't look like this looks like an inactive. So this is actually an even war, despite sour cream here. Looks like um, they were always small, so nothing was really lost there. Probably just trying to kill him off. But definitely, they got some guys in bad shape at the bottom here. So does the enemy too. But I mean, if you look at who's in bad shape versus who's not, I mean, definitely worse off on the Blue Kingdom side. But Red definitely, must have just had their wave recently, so that plays into it as well. We'll see what it looks like when um, Blue gets their next wave. Should be interesting to see. Would be interesting to see if they do have any dragons on them as well. So if anyone wants to check that intel and reach out to me with regards to dragons, that would be great. Or if the kingdom that's listening wants to forward that information to me, that would be awesome. I just don't have the resources at this time to check all the wars. So great job to everyone. Definitely a war that doesn't necessarily have to end, but Red Kingdom, be very careful. Net worth wise, Blue Kingdom is doing a fair bit of damage to you. You're able to kind of stay up there as it is. You're doing a very good job, but it definitely looks like net worth wise, Blue Kingdom is on top of you, and they're approaching you honor wise. So um, maybe time to think about how many acres and honor you can walk away from in this war. So best of luck to both sides. Let's look at the next war. We've got StarCraft versus recruiting attackers. Everybody needs attackers. Wow, StarCraft gets a nice war here. 2 provinces short on the enemy side. Looks like somebody might be a little bit land fat. Maybe not. Let's see if they can control the net worth. Wow, recruiting attackers is controlling the net worth and the land on this one. Definitely giving StarCraft a whomping. I mean, if you look at the change there, some deep chains on, this one province here, Zelnaga. Goliath Spider took some serious hits there too. They've really stacked their damage on this war, especially on the recruiting attacker side. StarCraft definitely looking to disable the attackers, and recruiting attackers, kind of doing the same thing, targeting dwarf and gnomes, those um, turtley attackers that can kind of sit at the top there. But I mean, it looks like they're all gnome and dwarf, so this could be one of those battles that the net worth charts might be lying to us. StarCraft might actually be in a much better position than it seems. It certainly doesn't look like they've taken that much more damage. Um, they definitely have, though. I mean, Acres side of things, net worth side of things, it's not too substantial. They're still in the honor position. I mean, they must, being two provinces up, it's going to be easy for them to maintain this honor position. So definitely, as I said, maybe the charts are lying to us on this one. Blue Kingdom on the land and net worth looks like they're in control, but StarCraft with those extra two provinces, that's what could win them this war. But definitely looks like strong performances, strong waves. Good chaining on both sides. That's what I like to see. Keep up the good work. We'll see where we're at after min time on that one. Worms checkmate. Duck says quack. Now these are the two kingdoms that Smiles and Saps wanted me to call out. 4-3 and 7-1. We're just going to take a quick look at 4-3 and 7-1 just to give you some idea what they look like. I have a feeling I might know who the Duck Says Quack is. I'm not going to say anything right now because it's just a guess. We know who Worms is, I think. They're Worms. That's their kingdom name. So definitely an interesting war that, as I said, Saps and Smiles want to look at. So if anyone has any information about this, or if 4-3 or 7-1, would please reach out to us. We'd love to do a review on this war with everybody. Um, as many people as we can present. Looks like 7-1 sent Duck, sorry, yes, 4-3 sent a taunt banner to 7-1 saying your chastity spell is attempted was reflected upon the center. Well, that's never good. I mean, when you're going for econ control, that's not something you want to happen. Let's see what's going on here in terms of war. Acres, very strong exchange here. Very close, very tight. Both kingdoms very strong with their chaining. Interesting performance here from Duck Says Quack. Very strong performance from Worms as well. Definitely two kingdoms that know their way around war. Quick look at the land side of things. Heavy, heavy chaining. I'd go as far as to say these provinces are almost wiped out of the game. That being said, these chains don't seem to be doing enough damage on these provinces here. So definitely looks like Duck Says Quack is in the less advantageous position at the moment. Quick honor side check will review kind of the TM side of things as well as who they're both targeting for their chains, honor wise. Strong performance from both sides here. Again, please reach out to us if you can. Share some more information about the hostile and the dragons and rituals and things heading into this war. Would be great. Appreciated. As I said, we'd love to do a live podcast on this war, possibly closer to when it ends, or maybe even during when it's currently going on. Oh, here's a ghetto war. We got OldGeezer Utopians versus Ghetto Vets. I mean, look at these guys. Um, I really struggle with these sometimes. Again, bigger kingdom at war with the smaller kingdom. Looks like they're just getting pwned. Why did they go to war? I mean, they have more players, but that doesn't always necessarily guarantee the victory. Net worth side of things, they're getting kind of stomped out. But again, there's only half the number of provinces here in a regular kingdom. So it doesn't look like that much is actually going on compared to when you have 25 versus 25 on the charts. Honor-wise, though, you can tell Ghetto Vets hasn't really had any wars, or I don't think they've had any wars leading up till now. Probably not. If they were, they only ever war once per age generally. So this could just be their one war. I mean, as you can see, they're gaining honor in relation to the net worth and land that they're gaining as well. They're directly proportionate in this war. So it definitely just looks like both sides just kind of remembering what war is like. Best of luck to both of them. Although it looks like Ghetto Vets is definitely going to take this one. So good luck to both sides. Looking at the next one, Big Trees Fall Hard versus Sesquipedalian War Agreed. Wow, that's a tongue twister. Try saying that one 10 times fast. I certainly am not. Um, Birds and trees fall hard. Yeah, they hit for land pretty hard. It seems like we're only 12 hours in, so definitely some big moves were made here. Wow, look at that net worth drop. Red Kingdom is taking a whomping. I mean, let's look at what's going on the land side. So that would explain it. This orc taking all the damage, whereas the this one kingdom here, the Blue Kingdom, not really taking any damage at all. Again, they're +4 provinces, so this is one I expect. The Blue Kingdom to walk away with the victory. If they don't, they would have made some serious missteps here, but especially with this combination. I mean, look at all these support casters. They got fairies, dwarfs, orcs. I mean, how can you lose? I mean, these guys are like rock solid, especially at this size, with that much net worth per acre. These are tough provinces to cast any spells or do any ops on probably. Again, and if you do manage to do it, they have that damage mitigation spells as well. So even if you do successfully pass your ops, they're still getting, little tweaks and little bonuses that prevent you from doing maximum damage to them. So best of luck to everyone in this war. Be interesting to see, although I think I kind of know what to expect based on these last two drops here. I mean, it's pretty obvious what's going to happen here, guys. And if you want, I can even draw a line for you, um, you know, like so and like so. So as you can see, one is fairly level. The other is, approaching a 45-degree angle almost. Um, Maybe not quite that bad yet, but it's approaching there. So definitely not a good situation for Red Kingdom. Let's move on to the next war. Um, we've got time for a fight, message for war versus having a beer. So we've got our kingdom beers back to war after their victory from Pillow Talk. Looks like they're having a strong entry into the war. Definitely evenly matched on both sides. I do have some information with regards to this war as well. Thank you to those who shared it with me. Definitely looks like Blue Kingdom might be in control of the TM ops here, but we're dealing some high honor here. So the opening of the war, they probably just went after targets with heavy honor on them, and that looks like the case. They totally wrecked this dwarf that probably had. Wow, we got a new record here, everyone. Ding, 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 ding. Vicky Mendoza, diagonal from the Having a Beer Kingdom, 2,111 net worth per acre. I don't know if you can hear me clapping in the background, but excellent job. That is our new highest net worth per acre for a chained province. I mean, look at that. It's just fantastic. I mean, 152 acres left, 1,500 acres gone. Look at that. Half the net worth already gone. I mean, this province is going to be completely useless. After this. I just don't see any recovery from that. But having a beer, show me what you guys can do. I mean, here we are. This is what they can do. They kick the poop out of this dwarf and this undead and three other guys. Pretty good performance. They pretty good trade, I would say. They lost one really strong province, as you can tell by the net worth per acre here and the change in land, versus these two provinces that were I don't want to say they were disabled yet. This undead they're going to have to follow up on, as well as this dwarf and these other attackers. These are going to be leftover attacker hits. These are going to be your provinces that you want to get down to like 10k defense at home or less, and just keep working them and working them and working them until you kind of cycle all the attackers to the bottom of the net worth chain, and you're doing the same thing. That's like that's a good way to look at it. That's how I like to think about my core when I do run wars. So let's look at the notes here. I believe I did have some information with regards to the Beers War. Um, some great stuff. in here. It looks like it's just a mess. As I said, I got so much information. It was hard to break it down. All right, here we go. So this is the Beers War 4-9 versus 4-4. We got an emerald on either side. This is again from Beers' side of the war. So they've got a Godspeed 109 overcasted. The enemy 4-4 has an onslaught. Is that actually who they are? Let's just take a quick look here on the kingdom side of things. Time to fight for war is 4-4. So Beers is 4-9. They got their little dancing tree in the background. So again, reminder, Beers is 4-9 and the other kingdom is 4-4. We're looking at it from 4-9's perspective here. So 4-4 has the onslaught. Both dragons still alive on either side today as of 8 p.m., 8:30 p.m. That's my time, so that's about 2 hours ago. Um, Chances are those dragons are likely still alive. They might slay it before the wave, their next wave, I'm thinking. Or they could be sitting on it for longer, because I mean, both sides could have very strong economies. Slaying a dragon right away isn't necessarily the best thing, especially if you know your enemy can pay for it. Um, so it looks like Beers was ahead on the Dragon Scent by 1 day. Other than that, looks like there's pretty close on attacks. One failure. You never know. That could just be that intel thing we were talking about before. They told everyone to check out. But as you can see, very strong performance in terms of acres taken by 4-9 on this war. But their one province, 42 hits. I mean, that is pretty significant. Excellent work to 4-4 for being able to coordinate that type of attack and to bring them so low. That is one of the deepest deep chains that you could possibly get. I think the only thing worse than that would be sub 100 acres, which you did almost achieve. Looking at the flip side of things, it only took about 20 or 13 acres to bring them down over 1,000, under 1,000. Or sorry, over 1,000 acres worth of damage. Whereas you can see how many more attacks it actually took to inflict, only that, in this case, they got the same amount of acres out of 20 attacks. They got about 1,100 acres out of 13. So if you think about who's actually using their attacks and their resources and their generals more wisely, um, probably 4-9. Whether or not that's going to be enough to win them the war, keep in mind they did and are probably going to be completely losing this province as an attacker. I mean, it might have some good TM qualities now with an increased WPA or a very high TPA that I'm sure they'll try to burn out as quickly as possible. But same thing goes for these two guys. They're in the same position as well. So it's entirely up to how this plays out. So again, I apologize, guys, for my notes being a little bit messy. I was looking into Google Podcasts as well because I am trying to figure out if there is a way for me to stream to a Google podcast so more people can listen as well. I'm currently working on that. There are a number of things in progress as well. So definitely keep an eye out. For future releases of Utopia news. Looks like we got a lot of comments here. The comment bar. Let's take a look here. 1-4 checking in. Cool. Hey guys, what's up? Looks like we got one guy saying some nasty things in there. Um, Booty McStuffins. I mean, I can think of a few people who might say those things or who might come up with a name like that, and you know who you are. Anyway, a quick look at the wars currently in progress, and people who were victorious or withdrew from their wars. Thank you to everyone who shared all their information with me. It does help. And I apologize, for my level of disorganization on this podcast. We kind of skipped around a little bit more than usual. As I said, I'm inundated with the amount of intel and work that needs to be done. Anyone who'd like to assist, more than happy to bring more people on board who are willing to help and contribute to the news team. It is, as I said, very hard to get a lot of this information, and a lot of this time, or rather all of this time, is mostly volunteer work. So I'm literally losing sleep over things like this. So if anyone, as I said, at all wants to help, definitely reach out to me to see how you can do it. The most important things, of course, are things like intel, news snatching, um, and then any other information that you're willing to provide if you're part of a warring kingdom about what's going on in the war. I mean, we like KD econs. We like the dates that the KD econs were taken of. Those are important as well. It certainly helps give people a perspective. You know, we like when we like dragon information. We like ritual information. Having a full news format to go into the Seraphim is great as well. That certainly helps review the war a little bit better. So again, thank you to everyone who shared their information. And if you want to, participate or help with the Utopia News Warcast going forward, please reach out to me. I'm more than happy to talk to everyone, although it does take time, and I only have 2 paws, so it is very hard to get back to everybody and check everything in a timely fashion. As you can see, maybe everyone saw when we were looking at my 1-1 province, I currently have some mail that's in my inbox. Very likely someone who wants to share some information for me, or someone commenting about this topic, but to maintain some level of anonymity with regards to who's actually messaging me, I'm kind of hesitant to open up that mailbox to show everyone what's actually going on in there. So I probably would do it off screen. I'm probably going to come up with some type of program plan for the show just to make it easier and flow more smoothly. I'm also thinking about breaking up the Warcast into just purely reviewing the target finder, and then going into detail with regards to some wars, maybe a handful of wars at the end of the week that are highlighted, but definitely I won't go into them necessarily as deeply. However, but at the end of the week or on the weekends, maybe when I do the more in-depth forecasts, I'll get more intel from the provinces and kingdoms, and I'll illustrate that dragons on the chart and rituals and things like that, with as much detail and information as I can. At the same time, I don't want to let all the wars just drop to the side, so I want to be able to cover everything, or at least as much as possible. So if anyone has any feedback or comment, or wants to be part of a live chat or join in on any of the Warcasts, please reach out to me. I'm more than happy to do that. I also want to point out to 7.5 has actually reached out to me again since this broadcast, and it looks like they're willing to chat a little bit more about the war. Definitely, as I said, I would like to write an article about that, so keep an eye out for that. Anyone, as I said, who'd like to help with the Warcast, definitely reach out to me. There's lots of things that need to be done, and if we could get some greater level of organization to help, it would certainly make this entire process a lot easier. So thank you again to everyone joining on this podcast. There's definitely going to be one tomorrow, but as I said, it's going to change to more of a just looking at the target finder, and reviewing all the wars currently in progress, and of course those that were or have ended since the previous Warcast. But then, we'll work throughout the week to highlight wars that should be reviewed later on the weekend, I believe, is when I'll do the more in-depth reviews, just because I have more time. I'll very likely just be posting who's won the war as well on the weekend. Like my little chart thing I normally post on the 7th of every Utopian month. So thank you again, everyone, for listening. A special thanks to our team Atlas, who was willing to reveal themselves on the podcast today. Excellent war, and whoever their war partner was, phenomenal job. I mean, they're definitely not a kingdom that gives up easy. Great job to both sides. Great job to everyone. Let's keep the wars going. Let's keep Utopia alive, everyone. This is your host, Wind, signing off. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night or a good morning, wherever you are. Bye for now.